What's up, fam? Welcome back to the channel. We're gonna just do a yapper type of video today. I'm gonna go into a lot of different things. I do wanna touch on the ALPHALETE drop that just happened a couple days ago. My code is active with them, I think, for, I don't know, 3-4 more days when you guys are probably gonna be seeing this. But I do wanna touch on a couple different pieces from the launch just to kind of do my due diligence before I do step away from the team. We'll talk about that a little bit. I also want to talk about some of my most recent thrift finds, which have been so much fun. Doing a little bit in my Depop store, yes, but a lot of my thrifting has just kind of been for myself because I've been enjoying really refreshing my wardrobe. And then lastly, I am starting this thing this year. I wanted to have a thing. I wanted to have a thing that I was tracking on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis this year. And it came to me last week, thankfully, because I started the year not knowing what it was going to be. And it's really just going to be me talking about the media that I am consuming, the art that I am consuming every single week, and sharing my opinion on that. Doing a little bit of a deep dive into the things that obviously like really have stuck with me, that have made a big impact, and really asking myself to speak about them with more depth, a little bit more eloquently, asking myself to form opinions on the layers of these pieces of media that I'm consuming before going to TikTok or YouTube or Substack to hear what everybody else has to say about it, because I do think that I have the ability to analyze things by myself first before going to everybody else to see what their opinions are. Yes, today we will be talking about heated rivalry. I would be doing you a disservice if we didn't. I would be doing you a disservice if we didn't, because that show, if any show has layers to it, it is that show. But we're gonna be talking about books, we're gonna be talking about songs, we're gonna be talking about a video game that Zach and I have been playing for a little while now. Every single week, actually, let me show you. Every single week, I have been writing it down in my planner, like everything that I have been going through and my opinion on them. I just jot down the media I have consumed this week, and I write down brief opinions of them, whether or not I've finished whatever it is or if I'm still working on it. I don't know if I'm going to try to do this type of video, like the media consumed video, on a week-to-week basis, or if it might be more of a month-to-month thing. We will see. I am also interested in maybe starting a Substack and writing about it, because I do miss writing a lot. I don't know if y'all were ever just, writers in high school and college. My degree heavily hinged upon writing, even though it was a bachelor's of science. And I got really good at writing essays. I got really good at it. It was the thing that got me, I think, into a really good school and then took me through school, was that I really learned how to use words. And in adulthood, I feel like we just lose that if it's not part of our job. And it really hasn't been a part of my job much since the days of writing really long captions on Instagram kind of went away. Guys, if you've been with me for a minute, you'll remember when Instagram was just square pictures. And in order to be seen and in order to get engagement, you had to write these really meaningful captions. Like, you wanted people to see the photo, but then stay for what was written. And I loved that. Both my husband and I, Zach, have been on Instagram for a very long time, and we loved doing that. And I really miss that. So I'm trying to find ways to bring that back into my life. And I think that with how much I love to watch movies and listen to music and watch shows and read books, this is a really great way to do that. I'm trying to think of like a really cool name for this segment, like the segment in which I talk about my media consumption. And I was brainstorming ideas, and one of the songs that I'm going to be talking about, which you're probably also not going to be surprised about at all, is Die on This Hill by Sienna Spiro, I think it is, Spiro. And I was like, that's a great name for a segment in which you are talking about the things that you really fucking like and that you have strong opinions about, like Die on This Hill. I don't know, we'll see. I'm still workshopping it. If you have any ideas, I'd love to hear it. My friend Jess sent me a Substack yesterday that was titled Gatekept. I think it's, yeah, Gatekept. And I was like, that's cool. Like, I just like when segments and series and things have these titles that kind of stick with you and give you the vibe of what they're going to be talking about. Because this one's about, I think, fashion. And I thought Gatekept for fashion and culture is perfect. It's a perfect name. And so an opinion piece, think pieces, stuff where we're talking about opinions on media, art, tra-la-la-la. Most of the time, if art is good art, if media is good media, you're going to have a very strong opinion about it. Or not even necessarily if it's good, but it can be, Actually, yeah, you know, I'll stand by that. I'll die on that hill. If it's good art, if it's good media, it's going to cause you to form a very strong opinion, whether that is negative or positive. I actually think that even art that I viscerally dislike, media that I viscerally dislike, is probably still in some way, shape, or form good because it is triggering that opinion in me. I think that I am more aloof to media that doesn't cause either a very strong or very negative reaction in me if it's just bad media, like if it's just boring, right? We're gonna talk about Tell Me Lies as well. That's another one we're gonna talk about because I have a strong opinion about that, and I can't say it's a bad show. I just have a very strong negative opinion about it. So we'll get into all of that in a second. We're gonna circle back. I actually really did want to mostly start with the ALPHALETE haul and then dive into the rest of this. So like I said, I didn't go crazy on this launch with things that I ordered. So I got 10 items from this launch, and I think the Cloud Pant also launched in this launch, but most of the affiliates didn't get access to the Cloud Pant because of limited supply, so I don't have anything to say about that. Unfortunately, I think it's a very popular pant already though, and if anything has low stock right now, it's probably that. But my favorite pants of all time from any brand have always been the Amplify flares, and those did come back in this launch, and they came back with new colors as well. So I've had a black pair of Amplify flares, and I have just absolutely obsessed over those pants. I have talked nonstop about those pants for probably the past year or two. As long as I've had them, they're amazing. And I ordered a second pair of those in black, and then I got the navy blue pair as well. I think it's just called Deep Navy. Yeah, the Amplify Ultra High Rise Flared Pant in tall. I like to have the length. I like how they kind of bunch on the top of my shoes or my slippers. I don't really mind having them drag a little bit. It's just okay with me. So if you're getting absolutely anything from this launch, go look at those. They've come out in several different colors before, but the black I think sells out pretty quickly, and the black is really, really popular. The navy is dark enough that it gives you the same effect as the black. So if the black is not in stock and the navy is, just get them. Just get the navy. So I also got the staple pant, which is a nice loose leg, wide leg sweat. And I got those in the color Heather Gray, extra small. So I think all of my pants, everything, all of my bottoms, I'm pretty sure I got in extra small for this launch, correct. And I got these in tall as well. I think at the time the only option was tall for these, and they are just a little too long for me to the point where they drag too much or they go over my shoe and I start to trip over them. But I am 5'3", so I didn't need the tall, but again, I don't think I had another option. So I'm probably going to hem those myself and they'll be perfect. But they're like your typical wide leg sweat with a drawstring waist. They're incredibly comfortable. They're very, very, very warm, and they have the matching staple hoodie. I'm actually wearing the matching staple hoodie right now because it is nice and comfy. And I got that in extra small in the Heather Gray, and then small in the black, just to see the sizing difference and if I preferred one over the other. I don't think that there's much of a sizing difference between the two. I think maybe the black's a little bit longer, but I feel like they're relatively the same when I'm wearing them. Overall, just like a very clean, well-structured hoodie. I also like the fact that this logo is just super hard to see. It's very minimal. Some of the new pieces are the Verge bra, and I do like this bra a lot, in part because it is quite chesty. I like a chesty bra. I like a minimal bra that pushes you up and just like shows the girls off. I'm a C cup and I'm a fake C cup, so I always get a size small, and even though these are super minimal coverage, I feel supported enough. Even if I'm gonna do like a light jog, but again, with a fake C cup, you don't have a lot of movement most of the time anyway, especially if you're under the muscle. So I'm not too worried about that. These ones I think the Verge bra is better than I think the minimal bra is in terms of staying in place if I'm like hanging. I was doing hanging leg raises yesterday and I was wearing the Verge bra. I think I was wearing this one exactly. I think this one's actually dirty. And it worked just fine. Whereas when I'm usually in the minimal bra, I find that it's like I'm gonna come up and out of it if I'm hanging. So these are pretty good. The one thing I will say is that I did accidentally put both my black Verge bra and my, I don't know where the black one is, and the navy one in the dryer. And the logo on the black one already started to kind of get eaten away. And I think with this one too, you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see where it's starting to already like peel up just a tiny bit on the top there. So they're going to be the type of thing that you're not supposed to put in the dryer. Most of the time I do hang dry my sports bras now, but I forgot. So I would say probably within like 2 to 3 washes, if you are someone who always just throws your shit in the dryer, then the logo is gonna peel off. So just kind of keep that in mind. Again, minimal logo. It is in the center of your chest, but it's not, I don't know, it didn't throw me off. It didn't throw me off. It's just very small, simple, obviously. It's chill. It's whatever. The other new piece that we got was the Amplify long sleeve. Actually, I don't think this is a new piece. I think this is bringing something back. And I do like a cropped long sleeve to train in. I do enjoy doing this. I like wearing this with a pair of sweatpants. That's actually what I wore yesterday for my leg day. I wore the cargo sweats from the last launch, and then I wore the Amplify long sleeve, and it was perfect. It was really comfortable. I really like training in that way because I don't overheat with my core exposed. But if it is chilly outside, when I'm training and the gym's not like super warm, I feel like my temperature regulates fine. I don't really know how to explain that. I do like the Amplify long sleeve. I do really like the Verge bra. I think I got all of those. Yeah, I got the Amplify long sleeve in white and navy in small. And I got the Verge bra in navy and black, also in small. And I recommend all of them. I really enjoy all of them. They're not revolutionary. They are basics, they are staples. I like the way that they fit. There's nothing too crazy to say there. And then the last piece that I got was the Revive high-rise legging, and I think I got those in navy. I felt as though, and I think I have them right here, I felt as though this wasn't as high rise as I was expecting, but maybe I'm just used to the Amplify ultra high rise. It's not mid rise. And it's not a bad legging. It's just not too much different, I think, from most other leggings. You are obviously gonna have a very structured, reinforced butt scrunch these days now. They're really making those in a way that is not, they're not just gonna like rip on you out of nowhere. I think they've really improved that, but I don't think it's too much different from everything else when it comes to a seamless butt scrunch shaping legging. It has some contouring going on here, like very light contouring right under the butt, a little bit of contouring, you know, texture change here in the front, and it has a little bit more interest maybe than like your regular just like flat Amplifies. But I think in general, people with the leggings for ALPHALETE have really been gravitating towards pump. This is not as thick or coarse of a material, so if you don't really like pump, then you'd probably prefer the Revives. I think in general, if you're looking for a butt scrunch legging that's also going to lift and shape, they also restocked pump at the beginning of the month, so there's probably a ton of options when it comes to pump leggings and pump shorts on the website, and that's gonna be your best bet. I think that's, now after Amplify has run its course and had its years, I think pump is really doing for ALPHALETE what it needed to do in terms of bringing back another iconic piece that people are going to the brand for, and it's pump. It's the pump shorts, it's the pump leggings, it's the way that they just... That is my review on this drop. Like I said, you can use code Monarch at checkout to get, I think, 15% off, but I am only going to be active with them for a couple more days. I'm going to be overall stepping away from the fitness space in terms of creating content for the foreseeable future. I might make some recipe videos and stuff because I do still have coaching clients that I work with and I want to still give them something, but I just really don't enjoy filming in the gym anymore. I don't want to film in the gym anymore. I want the gym to be a space that I go to actually work on myself for myself. I have just so little interest in fitness content these days. And I think it might be because of what the industry has evolved into. And there's a lot of it that just has me feeling empty now. I think when you come into it bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 21, 22, it's so exciting to be a part of something that feels like it's genuinely making a huge difference in other people's lives with health and fitness, right? You're teaching people how to eat, you're teaching people how to train. And I do think that over time, I realized that I could either lean into that and continue to educate myself and really end up going even back to school, maybe to further become an icon in the industry, I guess you would say, that people looked to for that information and really continue to build a coaching business around that, or I could not. I guess that's it. And I think I just fell out of love with it when it became something that felt very performative alongside the rise of influencers. And I don't actually see anything wrong inherently with the existence of influencers when there is the aspect of being genuine and sharing opinions beyond just what they're making in terms of money. It's advertising, it's marketing. It's not something I have a problem with there. I follow plenty of influencers. I always have. I have many friends who are influencers and have been for a very long time. I love them, I respect them. But after being in this industry for 8 to 10 years now, I'm done. And I see the pathway in which I could either lean into the influencing more in the fitness space, and it's not really what brings me joy anymore. I see the people who do it and it does bring them joy and they're very successful with it. And I like those people. I still like to consume those types of people's content, like Ashley Flores, who just switched from ALPHALETE to Honor. I love her stuff. I will always consume her content. I think she is a wonderful, genuine, honest influencer. She makes content that I like to consume. Same with Gabby Cheyenne. She's very multifaceted. She has a lot of interests that I share as well. And I take a lot of suggestions that she has in terms of the media that she consumes, the books she consumes, the TV shows that she watches and stuff. She actually is the one that directed me to Heated Rivalry. And she's a person, whether or not she is involved in the fitness community or not, at the level of being a fitness influencer, whose content I'm going to continue to consume, because I do think that she is genuinely an awesome influencer who talks about things on a level that feels very sincere. So I don't have a problem with influencers, and there's many fitness influencers whose content I will continue to consume. It's just not the path I want to go down when it comes to the heart of what I'm speaking about in my own content. Because this year I do want to develop sewing and tailoring as a skill for myself and to have another creative outlet. I'm trying to have it actually go hand in hand with my adventure in embroidery as well. So really trying to hone in on the skill of embroidery and sewing and tailoring and just working with my hands and threads and needles and machines. Hopefully it's a good time. Anyway, other than that, what did I want to talk about next? Thrifting. Oh, girl, I've been thrifting. I have gotten so into, I did not used to ever look at the clothing or the shoes when I went thrift shopping. I'd go in for like the home goods, but I didn't have the patience to sort through it all when it came to like going into Goodwill or even just spending time in Buffalo Exchange, the place where it is a little bit more curated and finding really good pieces. But I do think you have to hunt a little bit more in like a massive Goodwill. I have become so patient and so good when it comes to finding some iconic pieces. And every month I want to kind of share with y'all some of the pieces that I have found that are really good. I have them on my floor right now, so let me grab them and I will show you. Most of the stuff I'm going to show you I've actually just gotten in the last month, and that was between Austin and back home when Zach and I were in California. This is one of my fave finds over the past month. This is a little bit more red in person. I think on screen it comes out a little bit more coral, but it's a Maximum, I think it is. Maximum with 2 X's. When I looked up how much people were selling this for on eBay, people were selling this brand of bag in really, really good condition, which this is in really, really good condition, for like $100. It's a fully leather bag. It's a beautiful bag. So I really did think about reselling it, and then I've put all of my stuff in it and was wearing it for the last couple of days, and I was like, no, I'm gonna keep this. I got it for $10. $10 at a Goodwill. Beautiful condition. Like I said, this is nice, real thick leather. Big fan. I'm also getting really into natural fibers as well as Ralph Lauren. I don't know what it is about Ralph Lauren that has really just gotten me going lately. I really like the history of the brand. I like Ralph Lauren himself. I think it's more so that just Americana hasn't felt progressive. It's felt very red hat, and that is the absolute opposite of who I am and how I operate. If you didn't already know that, then you know now. I like Americana in a very like fuck ice type of way, and I've been very into finding cool Ralph Lauren pieces. So this is just a plain, I think 100% cotton. I'm pretty sure it's either 100% cotton or 99% cotton with like a tad bit of elastane. No, 100% cotton, nice little polo Ralph Lauren long sleeve, and it fits a little bit loose. I tuck it in, and I thought it was really serving when I wore it. I want to find more t-shirts that aren't t-shirty, that I can wear like a t-shirt, comfy and casual, but have just a little oomph, little extra something, like a collar, like some buttons to make me feel like I'm a bit more put together. And I think this was like $7. Okay, these 2 icons, I have been obsessed with a pointy toe boot because they are so comfortable. I can wear them all day, every day. My feet never get upset. I still have the price tags on these ones. I haven't worn these ones yet, but as you can see, $10.99, and they're brand new. Like the sticker on the bottom of them wasn't off on either. They're like brand spanking new. 11 bucks, and originally 78 at Express. I got both of them because they fit me perfectly. I wore these all day the other day and they serve. So again, if you just take, it's just patience. It's patience and frequency when it comes to the Goodwill. And I'm keeping both of those for myself. I'm not selling those. This little piece, I haven't made a decision on this one yet on whether or not I want to list this on Depop. If you see this and you're screaming and you're like, this is mine, I need it, let me know, I'll list it for you. It's winter, so I haven't really had a chance to wear it yet. I am a sucker for anything that is beaded embroidery. I think this is just the prettiest little skirt. And I love the little scallop detail on the bottom there as well. It's Club Monaco, and it's damn near brand new. I think that there might be one little flower that I saw on the back that maybe was missing a couple of its sequins, but for the most part, it's in great condition. So might keep it, might list it. We will see. This is another one that I have listed on my Depop that is apparently a designer, Samuel Dong. Usually these jackets run for, I think, over 100 bucks, and I just loved the ruffle detail on this one. It was very structural. It made me feel something. I looked at it, made me feel something. I wish it fit me. It doesn't quite fit me. Once I get good with tailoring, I might just take it in on the side in here. But even just the finishing on this is really, really nice on all of the seams. That is on my Depop, but I may end up keeping it if it doesn't sell in the long term. And oh, this was another find that I got. Again, just doesn't quite fit me in the way that I want it to fit me. It is on my Depop, but it's Burberry. It's a Burberry, full-on Burberry top. Confirmed that this is authentic Burberry. So again, you're gonna be, if you're buying designer brand new, you're buying this for like $300-400 bucks. Crazy. Again, finding it at Goodwill like it was nothing. So, and one more thing to note, because like I said, I am super into natural fibers right now, like really trying to find as much natural fiber stuff as I can. I have a lot of cashmere just kind of sitting around. I found several really good black cashmere sweaters that I have been wearing. And then this cool piece, this is Skull Cashmere is the brand. Makes sense because it's 100% cashmere top with this cool skull embroidery. Like I said, I love anything with embroidery or beaded embroidery. So this one is also listed on my Depop. I just think it was a really, really cool piece. So I picked it up and I saved it. Actually, the tag was falling up, so I repaired the tag. I've been doing a lot with repairs as well. If I find cashmere or wool that I really like, I will repair it if it has a little hole in it and keep it or resell it with the repair. So that's part of the thrifting journey right now, as well as learning how to tailor and learning how to repair. I honestly have a gazillion other thrift finds that I could be showing you, and we're gonna move on, as otherwise it's gonna be a very, very long video. Let's dive into talking about all the media that I've consumed over the last 1 to 2 weeks for the month of January. We'll just say the month of January so far. Let me talk really quickly about Runa Marudi. I subscribe to this girl's Patreon. She draws these different women, vampires, fairies. She basically creates this world in which the fantasy books that we all read with fairies and vampires and all that jazz, she draws these. She creates a little world when she draws them. There's a different theme every single month, and every single month she sends out a physical package with stickers and the art itself. I'll take this one off just a little bit. This was the October theme, the Vampire Queen. And I saw her, I think I found her on Instagram, and I saw that on Patreon when you sign up, and I think it's 15 bucks a month. You get some of the downloadable stuff that she creates, and then a little package that she sends from Singapore every month. And I just loved it. I loved it so much. You can actually see the sticker pack for December was, I think it was like the Snow Ballet. Yeah, the Snowflake Ballet was the theme for December. And I used a lot of that sticker pack on the back of my phone case. And I think that's what I'm gonna do probably every month, is just put new stickers on the back of my phone case, because I thought it was so stinking cute. Okay, I need it to focus. There we go. Little dress, bow. She like tells the story behind it in here. I just thought it was so beautiful. And I love supporting an artist that is creating this stuff and it's actually giving you physical art, not just digital art, which I do like as well, but getting to have this physically in my hand, it's just exciting. Okay, it is the next day. I was really frustrated because my camera kept overheating and then the mic died. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a break. We're gonna start from the top when it comes to chatting about different pieces of media that I consumed this month. And I'm gonna start with music and really touch on mostly just Sienna Spiro and Die on This Hill. I think that Die on This Hill would be a really good, I still really think it'd be a great Substack name for talking literally about this. So I think I'm gonna do that today, is like start my Substack and share my thoughts there. I have been listening to Die on This Hill so many times over the last week that I already know it's going to be in my Spotify Wrapped, because not only is it just such a beautiful song, and it's definitely one of those songs that you can scream sing in the car, which is a pretty important thing to me. I need to be able to understand the lyrics and scream sing it, or at least just feel all of the music in my body if it doesn't have lyrics. And this one, it's both. But when I first heard this song and I sat with the lyrics of it, it hit the nail on the head for me for how I felt when I was in a very abusive, toxic relationship before I met my current husband. My current husband? Before I met my husband. He's my current husband, but he's also my only husband. What I'm saying is that I was in this basically a situationship that was very much hidden from everybody else by my doing, because I didn't like what was actually going on. Like, I couldn't take a lot of pride in the relationship itself. There was nothing to take pride from in that relationship, aside from the fact that I felt like I was a ride or die. And in a situation where you are with a manipulative narcissist, you are going to find ways to stay intrinsically too. Internally, you are going to justify staying beyond just what they tell you, beyond just your own needs of, oh, I want partnership, I want love. You're going to often find a way in your brain to justify staying in a way that makes you proud of yourself or brings you pride or actually helps boost your character a little bit, because they do tear your character down 99% of the time. They'll give you that 1% that boosts you up. And a lot of time that's going to circle back to you staying in the relationship. As a retiring people pleaser, I felt like I was that girl. I could see past XYZ and I could love you for who you are. I could love you through the hard stuff. I could love you through the challenges. I could love you through you being broken. And I took a lot of pride in that. I felt like that is what this entire song is circling around, is this idea of, I'm going to take whatever I can get and I'm going to hold myself up and I'm going to stay because that's where I'm deriving my value, because you're giving me nothing else. You're giving me no other value. You're not actually giving me companionship. You're not actually giving me love. You're taking my life. And yet I will not leave you because I can see past that. I am a good enough person. I'm a very strong person. I'm a ride or die type bitch. And I'm not gonna leave you, and I take pride in that. And just listening to the song maybe 2-3 times, even though I'd say the lyrics are quite simple, but everything is arranged in a way and it builds and flows in a way that it really communicates this idea that she's in this cycle. She's in a lot of pain, but she's never leaving. Her pride is there, but she's never leaving. She's gonna tell the world, she's gonna get creative in telling the world why she's there, which is, I think, the aspect of hiding. And I feel that too. Like, you get creative with telling the world that you're never leaving without saying, oh, I'm just going to endure this abuse. Oh yes, I see that this person is manipulative. I see this person is a narcissist. You don't reveal those things to the world, because then the world's gonna try to drag you away. And then you have to fight even more. You don't wanna have to fight. So you cover so much up to the people around you to make it look like it's all okay, and then everything just swells inside of you. And I think that because this is very much a ballad as she's singing it, that's how you feel listening to the song and singing the song as well. You feel that swelling of hurt, of pain. And I really like at the end, she says, I always will. And the repetition of that is just emulating that same cycle, that same spiral, the same repetition of having that pain, having that hurt, and coming back, of wanting to leave but feeling like you can't, and feeling like leaving is actually more embarrassing than enduring all the bullshit that you're putting up with. So I just think it's such a beautiful, beautiful song, and I personally can relate to it so much that I have sat with a glass of wine and cried about it a couple days ago, because it was just like, man, like, I've healed from a lot of the trauma from that, thankfully, but it really communicated pretty much everything I had felt during those 2 years in the most heartbreakingly beautiful way. So love her. I also really love Steal the Show or Stole the Show. I don't know. I think it's Steal the Show. Stole the Show. I think it's Stole the Show. The TikToks people make about Scream singing these songs are so funny, and I just relate to them so much. Like this one. Won't you just wrap me in your arms again? Exactly. Makes me shiver. Ah, it's so good. I said that to my friend Jess. Okay, next piece of music. Our cousins, Zach's cousins, who by marriage now I consider mine, they have a band called the Dead Cassettes, and they have a really incredible album that I think they put out, if not last year, it was the year before. But now they've been doing singles, and they just released a single with a really cool music video called Red Eye that I have to give a shout out to. But my favorite song of theirs is actually EAOO, and it is on that album from, I think, 2024. Our cousin, so Jacob, is usually the one who's singing mostly in this song, and when we listened to it the first time, it was really cool because his brother Matt comes in at a certain point that is just... This is our cousin Matt. Ethereal. And then Jacob's coming back into... You hear both of them. Jacob, Matt. EAOO, the Dead Cassettes. I just really recommend listening to that entire album, but giving their song Red Eye a listen as well. Okay. You know what we have to move on to next? Heated Rivalry. That show has ruined me. And I think it's ruined most of us in the most wonderful way. I think it goes so beyond a queer smut or gay smut show. It is just, I think the queer joy that you experience in it is wonderful. I think having a happy ending is something that we don't get to experience as often in gay love stories or gay romance. There's, you know, someone having to sacrifice something, or there is going to be a lot of, I think, sacrifice maybe in the next season. But by the end of season 1, it does feel as though it's them against the world and they have each other. And I think that that's something that's very often missing in gay love stories or queer love stories, is that they love each other and they know that they love each other, but for some reason they get torn apart. And a lot of the times I think that torn apart is the societal pressure or the lack of acceptance for their love. And it feels like we are approaching the next season, of course, having to watch them battle acceptance beyond just their bubble. But what I think was so poignant about this show, having seen all 6 episodes probably 5 times now in the last 2 to 3 weeks, is that we got to see a moment of familial acceptance and self-acceptance between the 2 main characters, obviously Shane and Ilya, but to see the parents accepting Shane and Ilya for who they are and their love, and really only struggling to navigate the fact that they love each other through their hockey rivalry, and not struggling necessarily with Shane's queerness. I thought that that was such a beautiful moment. I cried so many times. I also will say this. Now, I think most of y'all will probably have watched Heated Rivalry already, and I'm sorry if I've spoiled anything for y'all, but I'm never gonna sit here and beg anybody to consume media that is sexual in any way, whether it's something like Game of Thrones or Heated Rivalry. It doesn't really matter what the context is. If there's stuff in there that you don't want to see that is related to schmexy time, then I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that you should watch it. But I think that you should take completely out of your mind this idea that there's any difference between the explicit scenes in Game of Thrones and the explicit scenes in Heated Rivalry, because they both show just as much. Or the show Tell Me Lies, which we will talk about as well. Tell Me Lies has way more explicit scenes than Heated Rivalry has in the first season. And the biggest difference, and this is what I noticed, biggest difference between shows like Game of Thrones and Tell Me Lies and Heated Rivalry when it comes to the smuttier scenes outside of just who is engaging with who, is the fact that they are portrayed every time in these situations to be having, it's just, the scenes are done so well. They're hot, they're consensual. They're almost overly consensual in heated rivalry, which I think is, again, really important because it's something that as women we struggle with, or a lot of us have struggled with throughout our entire, I mean, probably our entire lives when it comes to being a straight woman and having to engage with men in that context. Consent is a huge issue, and it's only become a bigger and bigger issue. And so watching these scenes that are shot in a way that is not only like strikingly beautiful in some of them, but also really, really attractive, portraying the actors in a very, very attractive way. They are consensual, they are exciting. Of course, that's gonna be better than half of the stuff that you saw in Game of Thrones, because that was non-consensual. And then you look at shows like Tell Me Lies, and it's the same thing in that, sure, a lot of what's going on here is also consensual, but it's not shot in a way where you see both characters truly enjoying themselves. You don't see both characters portrayed in a way where you see their physiques beautifully. It's not art. It isn't portrayed as art or artistically or cinematically done in a way that's like, wow, not only is this super hot, but it's actually really beautiful, and emotionally, with the music that they had often in these scenes as well, is done in a way to make you feel something other than just arousal. Like, it's passion. It's truly passion. That's, I think, the word I was searching for this entire time. It's passion exemplified, whether it's soft or whether it's like a little bit more aggressive and they're kind of just like going at each other in a very positive way. It's just done so differently than most shows that are portraying those scenes. And I think that's why it's sitting with women in a very different way. You can also talk about the gender dynamics. With women, when you're watching a hetero couple in a show or a movie, you're more often than not forced to identify with the female character first, even if you do not feel as though you share a lot of the same traits and characteristics and feelings as her. That's kind of where you're forced to be. Whereas if you're watching a queer relationship, you're watching a man and a man or a woman and a woman, you have a bit more opportunity to just set the gender aside and identify with both of them, because these are the two characters that you're being given. These are your two protagonists, and they are both men. But in this relationship, you get to learn about their personalities, their traits, their characteristics, their emotions, their thoughts, their feelings, their backgrounds, and kind of choose which one you end up identifying with more through this process without being forced into that choice as a viewer. And I thought that that was also something that I loved so much in watching it a second and third and fourth time, was I felt like every single time I was noticing these new things, and I felt like there were these moments where I understood Shane more and more, or I understood Ilya more and more, but I never felt like I had to only identify with one singular character in any of those moments. It's a very, very special thing that you can only get in an MM romance or a WW romance. I think that was just really, really, really well done. Last thing that I also think is very worth noting is the fact that there are edits to Die on This Hill of heated rivalry, and those have also made me cry. There's one really popular one, but there's one that's in black and white, and I just can't get over it. I can't get over it. I've saved hundreds of those edits, and will I ever go back and watch them? Maybe. Will I go back and watch the show usually instead? Yeah, I just keep watching the show over and over and over and over again. And I do think I'm gonna go to a Club 90s rave in New York next month for heated rivalry with my bestie Karina, because I am but a woman. I am but a woman. On the note of shows, maybe I'm just left with this like gaping hole in my heart after heated rivalry, but I tried to get into Tell Me Lies, and I've almost completed the first season of it, and I just cannot keep watching it. I can't recommend it. I can't keep watching it. And I'll say, I don't think it's because it's a bad show. It's not a bad show. I think it's actually a very well done show. And I think it's doing exactly what they want it to do. I think it's telling the story that it needs to tell. I think it's well shot. I think the actors are great. I just cannot deal with the toxicity that these characters have between each other. Every single relationship is just toxicity personified. It is nasty poison to each other's brains with the way that they speak to each other, how they act, the lies. I think it's the whole point of the show. But I remember college being so full of fun and love, and I loved my friends so much I still talk to them to this day. I'm going to see one of them next month. I love my college friends. It was such a wonderful experience. There is no way any friend group in college is going to operate like that long term. you can make so many other friends. That's the thing, like, that's the only part of it that doesn't make sense to me, is that in college you are in an environment in which you are inundated with new people and opportunity. And if you are in this little toxic friendship group, you can leave. There are so many other people to go hang out with. That is the only thing about the show that doesn't make sense. These people seem like they're trapped in all these toxic relationships, toxic friendships, whatever, but the environment that they are in is not trapping them there. They are actively trapping themselves there over and over and over again. And it just, to me, is like, I would have stopped being friends with these people so long ago. Episode 2, I'm done. So I actually don't think I'm going to continue watching Tell Me Lies, because it's not a show that makes me feel good. It's not a bad show. It's just a show that doesn't make me feel good. I'm not entertained by it. I don't enjoy it. I would rather go watch Heated Rivalry 30 more times in a row and watch nothing else than be forced to sit down and watch the rest of Tell Me Lies at this point. So that's my take on that. Again, not because the acting is bad, not because the show is bad, but just because I don't like the storyline and how it makes me feel. It makes me so mad. Stephen DeMarco is the worst person to ever exist ever. Also, maybe it's just triggering for me. From my past. Alchemized. I got the Alchemized audiobook because it is a behemoth of a book. I think it's 1,000 pages, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to finish it quickly if I was only reading it. So I have been doing a combination of reading and listening to the audiobook, which I personally still believe is reading. I'm on chapter 43, which I think is about halfway through the book, and the world building is dense. I understand a lot of people are heading into the book having already read Manacled, and Alchemized is just Manacled with its own magic system and all of the Harry Potter lore sucked out of it. But I do struggle sometimes picturing some of the Harry Potter characters in the roles of these other characters, and I think that's kind of messed with the visuals that I would have created for myself when I'm reading a book that doesn't already tie to characters that exist. I really enjoy looking at fan art when I am partway through a book, because I like to get an idea of what these characters look like visually, but only fan art. And it's always going to be fan art that's unique to the book, right? If there's no show adaptation, film adaptation, then you are just working with what these characters look like in other people's heads combined with what you're visualizing them as, and I really enjoy that. The problem I've had with Alchemized is that I can't necessarily fully mentally break away from Harry Potter. I know Helena and Kane Farron are supposed to be kind of like Hermione and Draco. I have never found Draco's character in Harry Potter attractive. I've never found him physically attractive. And I love the idea that's there with the good and the bad and this evolution of Draco and Hermione. I like the idea, but when I'm reading these fantasy books and they're talking about these, handsome male protagonist or antagonist, it's going to usually be this very chiseled, tall, whatever. And when she's explaining Kane Farron in Alchemized, he is explained eventually as becoming a bit more handsome. He changes, he's gangly, he's tall, he's quite lean, he feels out a little bit later. There's things that change about his appearance over time, but Draco, I was just not attracted to in the last couple of movies of Harry Potter. So I really need to push him from my mind when they go to scenes where they're about to kiss or something like that. It's like, okay, I have to really work to visualize these characters as the characters I want them to be and not Draco and Hermione, because they are not intended to be Draco and Hermione in Alchemized. In Manacled they are, but in Alchemized they aren't. The world building with the new magic system does take a good while to digest, and I think that's where the audiobook definitely comes into play. You can kind of listen to it a little bit more easier than you can read it at times, and I like that aspect of having the duality of reading and listening to an audiobook, because it's helped me avoid moments of overwhelm when it comes to taking in all of the information and building that magic system and that world in my mind. But I do think it's a very, very cool magic system, and I like that we have so much explanation in that it all starts to make sense as to why certain characters are doing certain things or hiding certain things. I know that there's a bit of a time jump. I'm within the time jump right now, and I do enjoy that. At first, I didn't. At first, when we got into the time jump and we went back and we were starting to get this backstory, I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So we just built up to this, and now you're gonna redirect me. But it built back into that time jump. It really got me to a point where that was effective quite fast. So I'm only halfway through, but I do recommend it. I do enjoy the book so far. I don't know if it's gonna be a 5-star read for me, but I am enjoying it and I am excited to finish it because I don't exactly know what the big reveals are going to be. I don't know how this is going to end. I can hypothesize, of course, with any kind of fantasy book. You can think of these tropes that we're going to lean into, but I don't know. I don't know where it's going. So that does excite me, and that's definitely keeping me inside the book. But that's it for the month of January. I'm probably going to be finishing Alchemized and then heading into Wuthering Heights. So I'm going to see Wuthering Heights next month when it comes out. We will be discussing Wuthering Heights in quotation marks, Emerald's Wuthering Heights, but I'm also going to try my hardest, my damnedest to read Wuthering Heights before I actually go see the film, and we will be discussing that next month. We will. There's not a photo of Jacob Elordi that hasn't crossed my desk, and that is going to cross my desk immediately as soon as it comes out. I think I'm seeing it on the 14th. I am sat at my desk waiting, and Margot Robbie, for that matter. Put it on my desk. I think that separated from the book, even though I haven't even read the book yet, I think separated from the book, it's going to be yet again another visually stunning piece of cinema. And I do think that that is a huge part of things for me. Like something that is visually stunning, that has a lot of these incredible colors worked into the wardrobe, the set design. Man, I wish I watched Frankenstein. I wish I'd watched Frankenstein this month and we could dive into Frankenstein. We don't need to dive into Frankenstein because that is also a top tier, but we'll probably talk a little bit about Frankenstein when we're talking about Wuthering Heights, because obviously we have Jacob Elordi in both of them, performances that we're going to be able to talk about in both of them. But I think the set design and the wardrobe and just the visuals, the cinematography of Wuthering Heights is going to be top tier as well and quite enjoyable. So we'll talk about that next time. Thanks for tuning in, fam. This is gonna be a long one and I really appreciate it if you've sat through this. Any opinions that you have about anything that I talk about, whether you agree with me, disagree with me, or just want to share your own thoughts and, you know, sit there and like kick your feet in the comments, please do, because I love that type of community. I love that type of girlhood, and I really look forward to seeing it. So love y'all. Thanks for watching. See you next week.